Greetings folks, today I am bringing you an update for my rogue build. We have a lot of mobility, a lot of dashes, a lot of damage, and this build is fully compatible with a full stealth backstab playthrough. If so you choose, that is an option. You just need to put your skill points in a different order. Or you can also fling those throwing knives around. As we bring to the table over 1000 critical severity, the sky is truly the limit. Okay, let's look at our gear. This build is based around Smuggler Knife. Smuggler Knife will convert our maximum number of dashes into critical damage. So to make it simple, this build will stack damage from two sources. One is gonna be the maximum number of dashes that we have. In this build we get 6. And with the upgrades of Smuggler Knife, of course, prioritize the upgrades toward this dagger. You can use 2 daggers, you can get Smuggler Knife in Act 2, both in the normal game and in New Game Plus. You can also get a Smuggler Knife from identifying random items. However, this build will work even with a single Smuggler Knife, especially when your stats are low. In case you don't have a second copy of Smuggler Knife, then there are many choices that are quite good. Duelist Blade. During leveling and when your crit is low, this weapon is hands down superior to Smuggler Knife in any aspect. The Smuggler Knife is good only when your critical chance is high and you have a lot of dodges. It will give us 25% critical chance. When you level up in early Act 2, you can even use 2 Duelist Blade. That will allow you to get your critical chance very high and it will give you a much better result. In alternative to Duelist Blade, you can use Vanquisher of Penny Buns is still a good choice. It will allow you to apply poison and then you can combine with a poison ring. Otherwise, Umbilical Scissor, if you still want to use a dagger. This one is from Act 2. Do not side with the mushrooms. And then you can loot this one from the corpse of the Handmaiden. In alternative, Shadowfang River, very good weapon. It will only have the downside of a higher strength requirement, but the damage is there, plus you need to buy it. So on this setup, it's completely optional. Otherwise, in Act 3, if you like backstab, you can play with Quiet Death. Quiet Death doesn't just deal a lot of backstab damage, which is kinda situational, but the tooltip is also way higher than our Smuggler Knife, so the damage will still feel good. For Helmet, I use Crow. Nice damage, nice attack speed, amazing overall. This is the last reward from the Children of Morian questline. You need to start that one in Act 1, and you need to side with Self. If you do not want to use Crow or you cannot use Crow, use Hatchling. This one is one of the earliest rewards, it's good for critical chance. Fledglings, otherwise you can go with Percival or Lancelot. Anything that will increase our damage. It can be melee, it can be physical. If you are choosing physical, that will also buff your throwing knives, so it makes you more versatile. For gloves, Duel Knights, my favorite. You will use this one throughout the entire game. This is from Act 1 after you kill Abigor. For chest, I settled in New Game for Bold Kate Tunic. This is from one of the mini-boss in Act 1 when you need to save a guy from the mill in the bandit camp. Otherwise, early on, Revenant is also good. You need to craft this, however. If you use Lancelot, you need a few more points in endurance, and this can kinda mess up your early Act 2. You can still do it, no problem, but you might need some more levels to use some of the gear that I used. Otherwise, Percival. If you choose Percival, remove those points from strength, not from perception, because your crit will be low. For back item, Warm Coat. This one is crafted. You get this one in Act 1, is incredibly good to get. However, Warm Coat is not a leveling item, because before you get Smuggler Knife, it will give you nothing. And even with Smuggler Knife, if you are running around with 30% critical chance, it will give you nothing. Option R, use Dual Knight Cape through your early leveling. In case you're playing with only one Smuggler Knife, Winged Cavalier Backplate, you can craft this one, will give you a lot of crit. In Act 3, located here, you need to do a quest for Atli. Or Ashen Veil. Ashen Veil, the only problem is that it comes super late in the story. However, my suggestion for this build, best in slot, is Warm Coat. For Amulet, we have a wide selection. Novice Ogre Hunter works amazing on this build because we are very agile and we leech a lot, so this bonus will be up all the time. This one is from Act 2, from the Ogre Fortress. However, before you get Novice Ogre Hunter, Calm Finger from the first bounty in Act 1. It will be 5% lower in the base game compared to New Game Plus. However, I still use this one. Afterward, you can upgrade by doing the Blacksmith questline up to here when you save the lost boy from the mine, and you need to craft this one. In alternative, I don't like to use all the same items on all the build because I don't want certain items to be nerfed. Heart of Flame is amazing on most builds right now. It will guarantee you to have burning up on the enemy, so you can benefit more from the practicality damage over time tree, and it's also very fun. For pants, various selection here. I settled on Volker because they're better than Crow. However, if your strength is too low to use them, use Crow. If you cannot use Crow, well, Fledgelings are amazing during leveling, and even in Act 3 you can still use Fledgling on some builds that are low on crit. Otherwise, you can use Percival, however, only if you're using already other pieces of Percival. Or even Duel Knight trousers from the Duelist in Act 2 are a good choice. However, keep your overall weight low because you want to be with maximum amount of dashes. For rings, you have 3 options here. In base game, you will use Perilous Orbs because your crit is gonna be too low. If you use any type of other rings, especially in Act 1 and 2, your crit is gonna be useless. If you're using Poison application, use Poison Ring from Act 2. If your crit is good or you changed items, you can use Swordsman Amulet. You get this one in Act 2, and in New Game Plus, you get one from killing one of the earlier bounties, Silent Celia, in the Stronghold in Act 1, located here. Last item is gonna be the boots. Duel Knight boots is how we get another dash. The downside is the high weight, because it weighs 6 kilos, which, to be fair, if you compare it to the other boots that we have here, is quite a lot. So, by equipping these boots, you get too heavy and you lose 1 dashes. Don't use these boots. You can lower the weight of your boots through the perk tree and through the benches by spending some materials. Otherwise, Percival, Crow will give you a lot of crit. You can also use Night Stalker instead of Percival if you already have put points in spirituality. Okay, these are my final stats. As you can see, this build has over 1k critical damage, 1k sneak damage, and almost 400% melee damage. And our crit will hit cap immediately during the fight. I will now give you my suggestion for stats allocation during leveling. 6 points in strength, 6 points in endurance, 3 points in dexterity, 10 points in perception, 9 points in dexterity. With these, we can use most of the Act 1 and 2 items. Later on, we will put 3 points in practicality for the pieces of the cross set. And afterward, we are gonna slowly balance out our stats. As I said earlier, critical chance, armor weight. These are your priority for Smuggler Knife. Okay, let's quickly look at our skill tree. We start in the melee tree, max godly physique. Then we go in dexterity. 1 point in agility, 1 point in fast reflexes, 1 point in temporal sleep. Temporal sleep can be taken later. However, it's our get out of jail free card. Plus, I kinda like going all Neo in the Matrix. The first one, not whatever happened after. Then we go back in strength, max agile fighter, max powerful blows, this is how we stagger. Then go back in general strength, executioner maxed, 1 point on weapon of the great theft. Then you go in practicality, 1 point in body armor, 1 point in inner strength. Then you go in perception, max extra lucky and get critical cascade. Then we go in practicality. If you are struggling to apply dots, use a blood ring if you want. That is possible, otherwise you can put these points later. Just 3. If you're using Heart of Flames or Venom, get more points here, don't be worried. This build doesn't need that many points. Then we go back in strength, max unending assault, max strikes of luck, 2 points in ambidextrous, symmetrical combat. Now, if you're not using 2 daggers, or you're never planning to use 2 daggers, put 1 point in adaptive combat. For the sake of argument, I'm gonna take them both because we have spare points, but still. Then we go back in practicality, 1 point in armor skin, 3 points in best offense. We go back in perception, 1 point in spite of Curti, 2 points in critical ages, bloodthirst, so we can start to self-heal. Now finally, we go in perception, our dagger. 1 point in dagger prophecies, 3 points in serpent swiftness, 2 points in predator fangs. If you're playing with status effect, now it's the moment to take lingering affliction and possibly Razor's Edge. If you want to play with backstab and play more stealthy, it's the time to put Claws of Predator and Deadly Luck. We go back in Perception, max go for the eyes, 2 points in Deep Wounds, this is how we generate bleed from here. Afterward, we finally go in Red Death, 3 points in Plague Warden, this is to keep ourselves alive. Crying Pain, Long Regret, Giving and Give Up, Grieve Type Enemies, Whipping Success. 1 point in Athletic build, so now we have an extra dash. You can take this one earlier if needed, if you're using 2 Smuggler Knife. Afterward, 2 points in Respite and Cruelty, 2 points in Swift and Fierce. We go now in Stealth Tree, Silent Hunter, Assassin Doctrine, Wolf Among Sheep, 3 points in Increased Vitality, in Endurance for extra health, 3 points in Unstoppable Momentum, 3 points in Invigorating Dance. Now we go in Dexterity, 1 point in Strong Arm of the Bowmaster, 1 point in Proper Draw Technique, 3 points in Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot will work with Throwing Daggers. If you do not want to use Throwing Daggers, then do not take these points. Now, as you can see, we're pretty late in the build. If you want to play around with Throwing Daggers, you can do this earlier. But Pasta won't Throwing Dagger do no damage. They will scale with our critical damage. You will still hit very hard with those. Then in Perception, Close of the Predator, Deadly Luck, Lingering Affliction, Deadly Remedy, 3 points in Razor Edge, and then for the last few points, dealing damage generate extra points, and we're pretty much done. Now, let's look at all the items and how to get them.
Oh! Oh, what? Not here. Behind.
Your armor won't save you!
You're doing there. You're going to feel.
Have you? If. Now.
There. You're going to feel.
Oh, you. You won't get. Well. Oh. It, the all. I'm pleased.
Are you just you? Oh, thank. What a nice day. Huh. This.
Well guys, sorry if the video was too long, probably I spent too much time yapping. If you got this far, please consider leaving a like and even heck, subscribing for more gaming content, whatever that may be. If you have any questions or doubts about something, let me know in the comments below. Have fun playing Tainted Grail and I will maybe see you in the next video.